Yeah, I think some Democrats are even acknowledging that this will not only mobilize President Trump's base, but also some of the independents, libertarians, and others that are outraged by this. You're even seeing Democrats condemn what appears to be an outrageous, politically partisan assault on the president and his privacy. And I think this has a lot more to do with trying to damage former President Trump's chances of running for re-election again, and without wanting to antagonize Eamon, maybe getting back on the campaign hustings.
Is there then that this is a politicised move? Because our understanding, Trump himself chose the head of the FBI. The judge that sanctioned it was actually somebody who's been accused of being incredibly timid in the past. So where do these allegations come from, other than from people who are partisan themselves?
Well, you look at the magistrate that signed the search warrant. He actually has been a donor to former President Obama. He also has represented some of Epstein's colleagues, some of those that were involved with Epstein in trading in sexual favors of women. So I think there are questions about this guy. It is a sealed warrant, so we don't know what the warrant was. And with my attorney hat on, in the U.S., if you have a warrant, it's usually very specific of what they are exactly searching for. And if you go beyond that, the information you collect may be banned, may be suppressed from being used in court. And I think there are a lot of questions of how this search warrant was issued, particularly since just a month ago, you had FBI, Department of Justice agents at Mar-a-Lago with the president's attorneys reviewing the documents that were there. And the president himself appeared at that gathering, and they were told to padlock and lock up the documents. So the idea that they had to come in suddenly in the early morning hours with 30 FBI agents armed to the teeth, lights flashing, it's outrageous, and it was an overreach. And again, I think even Democrats are acknowledging that.
So, Steve, just to be clear here, you're saying that despite denials from the White House, this warrant would have the president's fingerprints on it?
Well, the president certainly has directed Merrick Garland, the Attorney General for the United States. And I think, unfortunately, President Biden lacks credibility on what he knows, what he doesn't know, even on a day-to-day basis. But the idea that he would not have been involved, or his senior staffers wouldn't have been involved in this outrageous and historic breach of going after a partisan political opponent who is not only a past president, but also maybe a future president. Again, it just stinks to high heaven. And I think, again, on both sides of the aisle, people are acknowledging that.
I think, though, that there is a danger that the rhetoric around all of this is so, the word I'm looking for is incendiary, that it has the potential to create greater division. And in actual fact, we should just focus on the facts. There has to be a certain threshold of evidence for a warrant to be issued. It doesn't matter what the background of the judge is, essentially. If that threshold's been met, that threshold's been met. And also what was seized. And surely that will all come out eventually, and all those political allegations can be cast aside.
Well, again, the warrant is sealed at this point, and once we see what was in the warrant, we'll know if the magistrate had legitimate purposes for being able to dispatch these folks, when, again, negotiations had been ongoing. And the documents that they're seeking are for the National Archives. This isn't like there's deep, dark secrets that the president was peddling somewhere. These are to basically fill the archives for historical record. And I think when you compare this to how other cases have been handled, I think there is a legitimate outrage. You had Sandy Berger, who was President Bill Clinton's national security advisor, who actually stole documents from the National Archives. He got a misdemeanor charge. You have Hillary Clinton, who destroyed phones, who bleached bit information, 30,000 emails off her computer systems while they were under subpoena. Nobody raided her house. And then you've got Hunter Biden, who has done stuff on video with underage girls that if you or I watched it, we might be prosecuted for watching that sort of thing. And Hunter Biden hasn't been prosecuted for actually doing what's on the videotape. So I think the double standard is pretty clear in how the Department of Justice is picking winners and losers based upon whether they have a DEM or REP after their name.
So, Steve, looking ahead to 2024, Trump, despite all this, despite whatever mud is thrown at him and what sticks or not, you would expect him to be running, would you?
I think this probably emboldens him to run. And again, keep in mind, this guy's been the most thoroughly investigated, attacked from the beginning, much of which, like the Russia hoax, has been proven and documented to have come from Hillary Clinton, not from any reality. The same Justice Department that's going after him now have pursued him to dead ends time and time again. So I think this has certainly mobilized his base and expanded beyond his base, because I think even Democrats realize that if this is how we're going to play in the future, using the weaponization of our judicial system against our enemies, that can play against Democrats in the future, just like it's playing against Republicans at this time.